Now we're about to start the construction of the pedestals, but before we get into it, I thought I'd just give you a very quick insight into the design concept. Now, from the bare bones of the shape of the pedestal, which you see here, we now need to consider the various supports for the drawers. Now, if you can imagine, there are cross pieces like this, which will go between each pair of drawers, all the way up here and all the way to the very top. And these need to provide support for the rest of the drawer that goes into the pedestal. So what I've done is I've made up some frames, and here's one which is actually completed. And these are designed so that the drawers will run on these frames, and they also form the framework of the pedestal. Now, it's only when you get yourself some Pedestal kit that you realise that I'm absolutely genuine when I tell you that that is absolutely square. And all I've done is I've put the dominoes in, and I've just squeezed up these clamps. Absolutely brilliant. The Pedestal clamps, I must say, do help because they tend to keep things nice and parallel. And these have got nice smart walnut at the front, and in my case, as I didn't have enough walnut, the rest of the frame are made of sapele. And because they're nice and square, it helps bring the whole thing together. The pedestals consist of a side piece like this on each side, and this is done by a sort of panel raising technique, except that the field here is veneered MDF and hasn't had the moulding put onto it. But we've used the rest of the panel raising concepts to produce the frame. And at the back we've got again a similar sort of panel raising concept here, except again this is veneered MDF, and I've just used the panel raising to make the rather nice moulding. You'll note that the corners, I've put a slight chamfer on there just to make it look nice. And I've now set this up such that the end of my fence inserts here and here are exactly in the right place. So as long as I get my piece of wood level with the end there and then level with the end there, my chamfer will start and finish in the right place. Now I'm starting short of the end here, going in and then moving it to the end so it's flush there, and then gently going along to complete the chamfer. I'm just moving my left hand now so I can detect it when it gets to the end. There it is, flush there, and I move that end away, and that's it, done. The field here is going to be some of the veneered MDF, and this piece of MDF has a rebate all the way around, and it's there because I had a choice. Either I make this channel here 1 centimetre wide, or I leave it at the 6 millimetres, which it is now, and take 4 millimetres off here, and that's what I've done. But in doing this, one has to be careful because it's a compromise between whether you make this too deep that way, which means it will show pretty badly, admittedly it's on the inside of the pedestal, or whether you don't make it deep enough, in which case the joints won't close up properly. So you've got to be careful when doing this. So I'm now ready to do my gluing up, which won't take very long at all. Now in this type of construction, if you want to make these joints really strong, you could use a domino, and you'd mark it up in the normal way that you would do for a domino, put a pencil line on each side and then do your domino cut. And you would have to remember, of course, that your domino is going to go in relative to the front face here, and of course this face sinks in, so you're going to have to make the domino on this side, the domino slot on this side, slightly deeper. The rear panel would go in here, and at the front I've got 4 domino slots which are going to take the drawer supports and framing pieces, 1, 2, 3 and 4. Now what I've had to do, because this panel here sits below the level of the frame, And when a drawer comes in, you don't want the drawer to be wiggling around. So I've got this fillet piece here and here, which will help keep the top drawer and the middle drawer running true. The bottom drawer doesn't need it because part of the frame performs that same function. So there would be, for example, the intermediate framing piece here, and this now stops the drawer from wiggling all over the place. Now I'm just about to cut the domino slots in the ends of these pieces, and what I've got set up now is a pair of path dogs with path hats on, and I've got my domino, and I'm going to be operating from the end on my right here. Now these top and bottom domino slots were easy to do. You just did that in the normal way, referencing from the bottom edge there or the top edge here, and did a normal slot. But these two slots were a little different, and this is how I went about doing it. I cut two pieces of MDF, and one which is suitable for doing this upper one here, and one piece which is suitable for doing the lower one. So if I use this top piece as an example, I cut the piece of MDF so that its width was precisely right when flush with the top here and flush at the end there, a pencil line here, so that I put my domino in position like so, and then do the cut. And if I show you in the same position here, set up like so, this was clamped in place, and then I did my domino slot with the center line here lined up with the line I have on my piece of wood, and then off I go. And that method worked quite well. Now the gluing up of the pedestal is really relatively straightforward, but you have to think about the sequence. The way I'm going about this is I'm putting the frames onto one of the sides, and obviously don't forget to put the domino in at the end here. Pop that in. Now once you start that, then get your distance piece and pop it in. In there, and then we can continue to tap this down. And then, as this end one here is fixed, I can now give the one I'm putting in a little bit of moral support by making sure it's held in the right position. So that's holding it the correct distance away from this fixed one. And now I can just go and put my screw in. Now because this is walnut, which is quite brittle, I'm doing a pilot drill for each of the holes. Walnut can be very brittle. Pop that in. Well, this next stage is quite exciting because we're now going to put the glue on the other side of the pedestal. And we've now got, of course, our slot where the end panel is going to go. Now we've now got the exciting bit of the panel, which is at the back here, going in. Now sometimes if it takes you a long time to get the gluing up done, if you've got any bits of end grain where you've put glue, sometimes this can dry off a little bit and you might need to just give it a very light refresh, not too much. Finally, we put this last piece on very carefully. And now at this stage, whilst you're getting things tapped up together, it's really important to remember that you've got to get this not only square, which I've already mentioned should be relatively easy, but it mustn't distort. So I've got a flat surface here, it's sitting on its bottom as it were, and I'm now going to make sure it stays flat against the bottom. And now we're going to use our distance pieces again to make sure that everything goes in as it should. So we've got the distance pieces back in. I'm just fixing this top piece into place. Once that's in, I can then get the other piece in the right position relative to it. That's that. Tighten that up. So there's two in the right position. I can now do this rear one here. Not quite so easy. Right, that's just about done. One quick tip, I use a damp sponge and some kitchen paper to get rid of excess glue, but as a final cleanup, I use these scrapers. They're really cheap ones, they're no good for use as a cabinet scraper, but they're very thin bits of steel. I got these in a Baumarkt in Deutschland, but they're absolutely perfect for this type of operation. I'm sure you can get them in the UK and in America and anywhere else in the world, but these actually came from Germany. And once that's done, final check for square, and well, it's give you three guesses. Absolutely spot on.